Several school districts across Massachusetts were closed today. Boston, Springfield, and Worcester among them, citing the cold. But of course, the COVID factors likely loom large in those decisions as well, with more than 1,000 teachers and staff out this week in Boston alone. The disagreement of how best to navigate schooling as we approach the third year of the pandemic has played out in public view recently here, with Boston Mayor Michelle Wu saying that although in-person learning is best, the city might, on a case-by-case basis, use a tool that Governor Baker has strongly pushed against: remote learning.
Whether or not we get credit from the state for a day of remote learning, if a school needs to, and a school-by-school basis needs to do that because of staffing issues, we are going to take that if that's the safest way to administer learning that day. It just means that we would have to make up days at the end of the year.
We said all along that we think the best place for kids is in school. We're going to continue to do whatever we can to help them deliver on that agenda, but that's certainly where we want to be.
But is it enough? Joining me on that and the too many to list challenges school administrators are facing in this latest surge is Boston Public School Superintendent Brenda Cassellius. Superintendent, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Good to see you as well, Jim.
So low vaccination rates among particularly younger students, staff shortages, high numbers of infections among students. Is it realistic to think you can avoid going remote at some point?
Well, we're avoiding that at every cost, and it's been an all hands on deck. I've been so appreciative of Mayor Wu and her ability to see and assess on the ground with me. We've been partnering on this and looking at all of our numbers. We're looking at operational challenges that we have, staffing challenges, and also the health reality on the ground in our schools. And so those three measures are what we're looking at every single day with our school leaders and our school superintendents as we assess school by school, classroom by classroom, and even the district if we have to. We closed on Friday and closed today because of operational challenges due to weather. And so we'll continue to make those calls as needed.
Do you think the governor's being too rigid in his position to say no credit towards the 180-day school mandate if you end up going remote? Does he understand, in your estimation, how difficult it is for you and the people who work for you it is to do this in this environment?
Well, the difficulty isn't just here. It is here in Boston. It's across the nation. You see it on the news every night. Good to see them talking about our schools, but not for this, right? So I think that he, is good to keep the pressure on for us to be in person. But I do believe that we should have some flexibility. In 2020, they gave us 10 days of flexibility. They lowered the school year to 170 days. I think he could build a lot of goodwill with school superintendents if you gave us a little bit more flexibility.
If you have to go remote, are you prepared? Is the infrastructure there? Here's what I asked that question of the mayor when she was here. I think it was a week ago today. Here's Mayor Wu on that topic.
As a district, we would have a significant amount of work to do, right? We've been through this over previous school years, but between the devices, the family engagement, there's a lot of work in changing over.
A lot of work in changing over. Is the work ready? Would you be ready if you had the need?
Easy, right? But we did it in 2020, so we know what we're doing and we know how to get it done. Our students have devices. We have Wi-Fi now. Those are things we didn't have in 2020. We know how to stand up super sites for food so that our children can get food in their tummies. And we've been working with the mayor and with the city to be prepared in case we do have to pivot to remote. So we are prepared either on a school level or on a district level. I think we'd need probably 24-hour, 48-hour notice to really put it in gear if we really needed to do it. And that's why we're watching the numbers 3 times a day to make sure that we have a good pulse on our staffing. We meet in the mornings, we meet in mid-afternoon, and we meet in the evenings.
One of the things, I know you are focused a lot on inequities in the school system. I hope everybody watching cares about these kinds of issues. There was a really troubling piece on GBH News here by Meg Woolhouse talking about one particular inequity, comparing Needham schools and the Boston schools. Talking about Needham, if you need to quarantine or isolate or you're sick, you just make a phone call and you can live stream your class. In Boston, they describe a procedure where you got to be sick at least 2 weeks and respectfully, you have to go through hoops. I think there's a 6-point procedure to be able to do this kind of thing. Why can the kids in the wealthier district of Needham live stream a class if they're out one day, and the kids in Boston have to be out 2 weeks and satisfy all these criteria to be able to do the same thing?
Well, we have fantastic relationships with our teachers. We do have the same availability. We have cameras in every single classroom, so our teachers can live stream if they choose to. We have an agreement with our teachers right now that they won't do hybrid learning, but that they will upload materials for students for continuity of learning. And we also have a wonderful new product that we're using called Paper, which is online 24/7 tutoring in multiple languages for our students, so that if they do have to quarantine or isolate, they can use the paper, or they can get instruction from their teachers on how they can access the tutoring and access their daily lessons.
But I am right, or that report is right, that they cannot, unless they're out at least 2 weeks in Boston, live stream that class that they're missing. Is that not correct?
Well, our teachers are uploading materials and working with students as if they would any other absence that they have. We do have the technology in our schools for them to be able to live stream if they'd like to, but our agreement right now with our teachers union is that they are not doing hybrid learning. They are uploading lessons and continuing the students' instruction that
Isn't
way.
that shortchanging the kid?
Well, I think that we are using the way that we are able to get our students the lessons that they have with their students every day. We have the technology, and some teachers are using it, and others have chosen not to at this point.
There was a lot of stories about you returning to a classroom, I think for the first time in 20 years, and you seem pretty happy about it. There's a great little bite, I'm going to play it here, of a kid at the school where you subbed. I guess when he heard you were coming. This is from WCVB. Here it is.
That it was someone a little bit famous.
Somebody famous coming. My apologies, it was a little girl. I didn't realize it was a little girl, not a boy. Was it like riding a bicycle? I mean, you seemed overjoyed, and I assume it was real. Was it like riding a bike, or was it difficult to get back into it?
Well, let me just say, Ms. Whitmer, the principal, set me up great with Mr. Holden's class, and Mr. Holden had the best sub plans, minute by minute, for what I needed to do that day. And there were a couple of partner teachers who came in and supported me with some of our special students. And, it was just an incredibly joyful day. The students were incredibly insightful and just eager to learn. They had a full day of instruction. And it has still fueled me through these last several days. And it was the best day I've had in over 2 years.
That's really great to hear. Speaking of best day, this morning I'm listening to National Public Radio coming into work, and there was this shocking story that may not surprise you. The head of the National School Superintendents Association is talking, and I almost can't believe this, about some superintendents with whom he has been speaking, who are so stressed by what's going on that they literally talk to him about taking their own lives. We talk a lot about the stress on students. We talk a lot about the stress on teachers. I haven't talked much at all about the stress on people like you. How intense is it?
It is pretty intense, and it is very challenging, particularly in other parts of the state, of the United States, where school superintendents, school committee members, school board members have been threatened.
Yeah.
There's just been this vitriol and just nastiness that has happened among adults. And I just really am so blessed here to have such a supportive school committee, such a supported city, where we haven't had all of these huge debates. Now, certainly, not everyone's agreed with all the decisions that I've made or question our policy around the mitigation efforts that we've done. But we haven't had the rancor and the vitriol in other cities that I think have plagued some of my other superintendents. But the day-to-day grind, the 12-hour days, ongoing, lack of vacation for many of us, it has been really, really challenging for our superintendents and for our school principals as well. They're carrying a huge burden and brunt of this, and it's just been challenging on everybody from every single aspect. as I talk with my colleagues, many of them are choosing to leave.
Well, I hope for your sake and all of ours that the tension and stress that you and people like you are under ends soon. Superintendent, it's good to see you as always. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Jim.